Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Missle Industries Ford Falcon 351 Cleveland Crusty wagon project, and on this episode I'm going to paint this engine bay because the motor's going in and I'm not planning to pull it back out again. I have to fix the subframe, paint the motor and paint the engine bay. Even though this car might end up being a basket case, I'm hoping for the best and making sure all the prep work for a future project is done and out of the way for when I go holeless bolus on it and fix everything else up. So I've already bought the paint. I was actually thinking I would just cheat and use the white paint from my E30 engine bay project because I had it available, but after I started to tear into this engine bay I realised I'm just going to have to be much more thorough with the application of paint if I was going to change the engine bay from the factory colour to white, and that would mean a lot more effort for me, which I'm not into, and probably a much crappier looking job. So if I respray the engine bay in the factory colour, I can cut corners and it'll be less easy to notice what parts of the engine bay didn't actually get resprayed. So that's the plan going forward. I'll mask up what I can, I will spray bomb everything else, and hopefully it won't look too crude. If I think back to the time when I sprayed my coupe's engine bay, I'm pretty sure I left the wiper motor in place and it ended up being a nice shade of maroon with the rest of the engine bay. I'm going to try and avoid doing that this time. As soon as I figure out how to dismount that wiper motor from the wiper arm mechanisms, I mean, I've undone the bolt, still doesn't want to come off though. It's like I need to use some kind of bearing removing tool or something, but it's resisting my urges to pry it off. But anyway, I bought the paint from Autobarn and they do a colour match, or a spray can service, so for the grand total of $80 I got 2 cans. And I'll just reuse the leftover primer from other projects to prime the engine bay. I think the biggest problem I'm having right now is all of the surface rust that's everywhere. I'm a bit concerned about spraying onto that because I don't want it to wreck the paint over the coming years and months. So I'm trying to grind it back, but I might just have to use some kind of rust neutralizer and then paint over it. That would probably be the simplest solution available to me. And then I can just spray bomb everything in factory Neptune blue and then wrap it up in anticipation of getting the motor in the car. So I've done as much as I'm prepared to do. Now it's time to wipe the engine bay down with some wax and grease remover and apply some rust preventative to all the rusty bits, and then let that set for 24 hours before I start putting on some primer. I've used foil everywhere because it conveniently folds into position rather than having to use tape and paper, and it'll make stripping the engine bay out once it's painted much simpler too. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how good this sheet metal is. So good. Wait till tomorrow. It's late afternoon the next day and I've done nothing at all. So what I'm going to do is spray some primer around all the bare metal, and next weekend when I pick this up again, I'll see how it's reacted with the rust converter and see if it's going to behave itself. Hopefully I can get a layer of primer on this sometime during the week, and I'll pick this up next weekend, which is when you'll see this video, all things going to plan. It's early on Thursday morning, and looking at that paint doesn't appear to be frying off anywhere where the rust inhibitor's gone, so I'm going to bomb the rest of this with primer and see how my grinding of the towers comes up under a little bit of sanding. So it's Saturday morning of engine painting weekend, or engine bay painting weekend, and I haven't done anything because I've been out shopping for parts again. Now, I've just got back from a guy called Roy's house. He was dismantling an XC wagon. So I've scored the trim pieces I need to seal the rear wagon glass into my wagon, which is tremendous, because I didn't know where I was going to get one from until that cropped up on Facebook Marketplace. So hat tip to the guy that put me onto that. So there you go, I've got the felt trim and the two-piece trim that goes around the glass, and I bought an air conditioning integrated underdash unit for the XC while I was there because he had it available, and I still have that car to put an air conditioner in one day. And I thought, the hell, I'll take a punt and I'll grab that as well, and I'll store it away until I can figure out when and how I'm going to use it. I should add that I bought myself one of these from Roy, but I've left it in his garage, so that's annoying. I'll go back hopefully this afternoon and go get that. But I also picked up one of these A-pillar trims because I know a bloke that needs one. So I've used some leftover primer from my E30 engine bay project and put it through my spray gun to put a coat of primer through this engine bay. And now I'm going to let that dry. We'll give it a sand later on today, and tomorrow, top coat time. And I'm back again. But this time, I have the piece that I paid $10 for. Things are moving forward. Moment of truth time. I can't delay it any longer. I need to paint this engine bay and then go on to do other stuff. Not quite a full can into this, and it's very blue. Summary time for episode 9, and as you can tell by the footage, the engine bay is now blue. I will count that as a success. Now the finish is a bit on the satin side, and I am tempted to clear coat it to see what happens, but the rest of the car is not going to get clear coated or even a gloss. It's going to be a similar finish to that, but I'd happily experiment with a bit of clear coat, but probably going to have to do that throughout the week. And next time, you'll get an engine bay update that may or may not have clear coat.